a year, maybe 4 or 5 times. I mean, it's just something you don't use. It sounds like a good idea, but to me, it's wasted space.
Okay.
To have that in your house. And so just the thrill of the movie won't change. Now, this is the perfect segue into Tenet, because, Tenet is having a problem that competes with TV, because the sound, what happened is movie sound got better. You went to the movie, you was feeling them boom, 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 boom. Television, you don't get that as much. Even when you run it through your system, it's not the same as a movie experience. But the voices. Now let's start with that with Tenet. What do you think about the voice over that's in Tenet? Because there's been a lot of complaints because some of them it's like mumbling, So what did you catch that?
Yeah, the same issue that I had with The Dark Knight with Bane's voice. I couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. All the scenes when he's in his mask, it's like I'm really straining to listen, to hear, and to catch everything. I heard other complaints about the sound mixing in itself. I'm like, but everything's being inverted. So how would you know what an inverted action or attempt would sound like? So I think they did their best as far as the inverted part, the scenes, the sound. But as far as the voice mix and the mask, it was pretty bad. It was Dark Knight bad, or whatever fuck episode Bane was in. It was that bad,
right?
And it may irk a few, but overall, I think this is his best film. I think if Inception is Nolan's best film to a lot of people, this is right there with Inception, if not a notch above. But you go.
Well, when they give you new concepts, and they really gave some new concepts in this movie, like being inverted and being able to shoot where you're really catching bullets and then shooting. I mean, that's new. I mean, and then the way they practiced on how to shoot an inverted bullet, and then in this reality, the way the inverted bullet reacted, when they put the bullet on the table, in the beginning, it's like the bullet is going crazy. But when he's practicing and catches that with the 9, I'm like, ooh. And then I didn't catch that the first time around. But when I'm watching it last night and they're in the final scene where they're doing the machine guns, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, they catching bullets multiple rounds I thought that was brilliant. And that hasn't been done before. Not that concept.
Well, and I said this movie was too important to put this to streaming. Nolan is a master magician. This movie was too big, too important for them to just let it go straight to stream. They had to put this thing in the theaters. The color palette, I noticed if they're inverted, it's blue. If they're not inverted, it's red.
Right. That was the colors.
Yes.
Remember the colors? Yeah, they did that. Mm-hmm.
That was pretty slick, especially with the color palette when they were in, I think, towards the third act, when they're looking at themselves through the glass screen, they see themselves coming. So obviously the first obvious gesture in the movie after, I forget the name. What was his character's name? John David Washington's character. Well, whatever. Denzel's son. After they rescued him from the Russians, the mission went kaput. They went to go get the first algorithm, which they didn't know. The first gesture dude said, well, when time is inverted and he does a Masonic, he said 10. Okay, so I was like, okay, you got to throw it in there. That clearly is so obvious. I'm like, do that. What didn't you like about this movie? Okay,
what I didn't like was two things. I didn't like the King Kong thing. Now, with the character and the wife.
Touch that, please.
That's the King Kong. Where he ain't even hit it or nothing, but he's super protective. It's like, wait a minute, you are a CIA mastermind, and you done fell for a girl you ain't even hit. And that goes a little bit about what the Tony Montana movie where he falls in love, but that was the King Kong to me. I didn't get that point. Why the mission for him, the balance of getting the algorithms was worth trading for her life. That didn't make sense to me.
Okay, I have a theory.
Okay.
Because the little boy, her son is Neil.
Okay.
He grows up. That's the only logical reason I could even make sense why he cared so much if this woman lived or died. Because to me, that's the fan theory. But I came to the same conclusion that the little boy is Neil in the future.
So she's Mary. She's Mary.
Yeah.
She's playing Mary.
Yes.
if I didn't look at it like that. But now at the end, in that last scene at the end, that makes more sense, that he had to protect Mary to help raise the boy properly. Okay, I like that. The second thing, and thank you for that. The second thing was him. Okay, the first chase scene was the Matrix, and it looked like, for the Matrix, they built that highway. Yeah. Remember, they built the highway where they filmed it. It looked like that. I very much got that was a built set they was driving on, but that it reminded me of that, of the Matrix when he's on, he's on the fire ladder and they move the ladder. Brilliantly done, but that was Matrix-like. And there's one more thing. Now, what did you think about that scene? The fire truck.
It's funny. So the first time I seen it, I caught that it was him in the Saab that flipped over. I caught that part the first watch. I caught before it got to the third act, before they tied it all in with the plane crash. There's a couple other times I said, you know what? I think that's him in the future coming to help. But it took the second time for me to be like, okay, there. That was all him. When Neo chased him around the corner, pulled the mask off, then he's like, oh, don't kill him. He's too important. I was like, okay, that's him. But I was waiting for them to tie it in. And from the third act, it's like, oh my God, yes. Brilliant. I was rooting for this shit. I was so happy.
Now, the next part that I disagreed with was saving the boss to get close. We've seen that before. I thought, that's kind of. But what do you call the boat they were on when she tries to kill him? A catamaran? Is that a catamaran, or is that what did they call that? When they're doing the boating scene. Yeah. Is that a catamaran? What is?
I'm not sure what that was. And you know what? I'm sitting there trying to figure out, remember the name of the boat, because I'm like that means something too as well. And I forgot the name of the damn boat.
I did too. That boat and the other one, because they said it, and I didn't pick that up. But I was trying to, or is that what is that? I was trying to think what that type of boat was. And when she saved him, that's been done before. Saving the boss to get close.
Yeah.
That has been done before. Catamaran, or is it a hydro kind of float or something like that? But it was that. Now, see, that was brilliant that he was, because remember, when Michael Caine said, don't come in here with Brooks Brothers suits. Remember that?
Yes.
Michael Caine was like, if you're supposed to be a billionaire, don't come. And that's like a big dig, because most people that, $1,000, $2,000 grand suit is Brooks Brothers. But he was like, don't come in here with Brooks Brothers suits. I thought that tied in well, because he said being a billionaire, for everybody, to being a billionaire, you ain't wearing Brooks Brothers. That was the point.
Well, she caught us like, you got the look, you got the watch, you got the shoes, but something just doesn't pop off right. But go ahead and continue.
Yes, and so when he was able to, we'll say catamaran, maybe that's not the right word, but when he was able to sail and operate one of the sides, because it was only 3 of them and they were switching sides, I was like, oh, that was brilliant filming right there. That was like, wow. That and character development. Character development. I thought that was brilliant. I did love that part. I was like, okay, he wasn't playing.
No, and that scene is where I think a lot of people are going to have issues with the sound, with the voice mixing as well, because they're on the open seas. It's a boat. You got the music playing in the background. I love the score by Ludwig Göransson. I love the score. It fits to set the mood properly. But basically, let's get to it. They're from the future. John Davis' character, Andre Satter, they're from the future. The future society is who the Aaron Boone is the soldier kid from Godzilla and Kick-Ass. That's who that kid is. So there's the war of the elites in the future. They send their pawns into the back and back to the future to hash it out for the survival of whatever timelines they want to survive. I thought the weak part was the global warming. I thought Satter's reasoning, because he had pancreatic cancer, was enough. They didn't have to throw in a global warming. Like, this is why you want to destroy the timeline, because of global warming. Like, seriously, I thought that was lazy writing on that part of it. And then I think probably the most important thing for me is got the black man from the future coming to save the past, and I don't think that's being mentioned enough. I think unfortunately he's being overshadowed course, it's Robert Pattinson. If you want to know what he's going to look like as Batman, this movie is why they picked him to be. This is why he's Batman. Because I'm sitting here like, this could work. He's 6'1". He's a good-looking guy. He's charismatic. You know, it almost to the point where you thought he was the lead and John Davidson was the supporting, even though John David, you know, he gets top billing. But any of those aspects, did you find any of that?
What he said, what happens, happened. Mm-hmm. What happens, happened from his perspective.
Right.
And he said that throughout the movie. You know, throughout the movie, he kept saying that. And I was like, wow. So he's trying to get you to think how you would think in the future. Mm-hmm. That's why he keeps hitting him with that. Because remember, they couldn't reveal. You know, he couldn't reveal who he was, mm-hmm. but also it was like clues that he knew that the other character didn't know. You know, he couldn't reveal it all. It was like, I can only tell you so much. That's why he kept saying what happens already happened. So you got to change your thinking. You see at the end, he kind of changes his thinking, how he has to deal with them. You know, that goes back to like when Richard Pryor's playing in the Superman movie, and Richard Pryor zaps Superman and he becomes, you know, and this is Brother Panic's work. He becomes Superman. You understand? Okay. So when the brother sits at the end and says, they all work for me. Remember he said that? Yeah. They all have worked for me. And like you said, that's his future self that set this in motion to go back. And it was almost like the kind of some way a hero twin tied in because, you know, it's brother helping brother or self helping self, you know. So I like that tie in that he got it. He got it. But that's why he kept saying what happens happened. So to change your thinking, I can't tell you, and Dark City does that. And Morpheus kind of in the Matrix was like, I can't give you everything, but you have to hear this. What happens, happened. So change your thinking to deal with them. And I thought that was brilliant. Oh, let me add the second part. As far as the writing, the backup characters, you cared for them all. Yeah. I mean, like when they blow that plane up, you feel all his partners. I mean, I thought that was the best part of the movie was you really identified and saw their personalities of the backup players, even the good guy or bad guy. That to me was one of the best at that. And I couldn't say how long. Where all these, I mean, everything, like even though we were talking earlier about the truck scene, the little bit they showed them of his team, you know, you really, like when his team is sitting in the car, like they got him and they're communicating and you just feel each one of them. Yeah. I thought that was some of the best directing, you know, to me, that was some of the best directing. I couldn't tell you how long. I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie.
I love when characters. I agree. And I love when they went through the breach, the take Cat, the inverted Cat, well, they all inverted, the take Cat back through the breach of the plane crash in the third act, and everything's in reverse. And then you remember from the first act, oh, that was them with him wheeling the cart out, and that was them. And it just no loose ends. I don't think he rushed it. I don't think he, you know, like he really thought this shit out. And I'm like, there's no way he thought about this all by himself. I mean, he gets sole credit as writer, but there's motherfuckers in that room with him like, look, you need to do this. You know, that shit came together too good.
And to piggyback on what you just said is people have to catch when they do an inverted training. See, in the beginning, they show you how he catches the bullet. I mean, really pay attention to that because that comes big. You gotta get that concept where he's actually catching the bullet. But the inverted training right before they do the breach, did you see how they were walking?
They're walking back and backwards. Yes.
I mean, you gotta pay attention to that when you see this movie because when you see them out in action, it makes sense. You know, when they coming out of the cargo hold, because they made a couple of mistakes. It was like some of them times the plane, the helicopters were inverted and they didn't have a flying inverted. They didn't really throw in a flying inverted helicopter to the end. Yeah. Remember that last helicopter came inverted? I caught that. I was like, that should have been inverted. That should have been but because you're taking in inverted troops, but the helicopter wasn't inverted. I thought that was a mistake. But when they bring them in, you know, and you see how they come out and they're roll into the mission, you know, and they gotta walk like that, you know, and it's like, yeah, that again, that's, you know, I caught that the first time around. I was like, oh shit, them is the training, and sometimes they skim over that, and then they go in, you know, they're going into the revolving door, that they call it, you know, one at a time. So see, and that's another thing. Is like they told him only one other existed. Remember? Remember he kept saying Costco or
Oslo, the one.
Oslo. He kept saying that's another one, and they told him the first one was the only one that existed. Yeah. Then he goes into the mission. It's like, oh, they got a couple. Remember, it was two.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, that was last week. Yeah, we found that. Yeah, because to them,
they were sending two at a time in. And they told him only one existed. That was his first mission. Was only one existed. So he's like, oh, these motherfuckers done lied to me. They got this shit all the time.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the temporal pincer movement. That's towards the third act when you had on set. By the time they had already showed up, they had gone through an hour. So he said we benefit from their experience from an hour ago. And then you had the two timelines converging, operating in the same space. Third act. That was dope. The inverted machine basically ran off uranium. It irradiates all the materials, which is why they kept wearing the gloves when handling the devices they would find from the future. It came in 9 pieces.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, 9. Got it.
But see, and then that goes into Osiris. Remember, they cut Osiris up and they put Osiris, put his parts.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, that's an Osiris reference right there.
That's right.
I'm like, they probably, I'm like, yeah, y'all, you're not getting that one by because that's Osiris, cutting Osiris up.
Now, see, I missed that. See, that's why you're
the
big dog. That's why you're the big dog. Damn, I sure didn't catch that. I just caught the 9. I was like, 9. Oh, okay. And then I didn't think. Yeah, no, Osiris part.
Because remember when they got it at the end and they was going to put it apart. There was 3 things. You know, I was like, take it where we can't find it.
Where we can't find it.
Take it where we can't find it. I was like, yeah, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing.
And then when Neil is giving him his speech about, you know, before he goes back in, because he was the one that got shot at the door. They took the bullet in the head. And then while they're fighting the big German dude, he gets back up and walks right back out the gate and closes the gate behind him. So that's why he had to go back in towards the end for those that kind of missed it. But yeah, I was like, fuck, man, he's got to go in there and go get killed.
I caught the first word because when they was saying the security system, he said fiber something. I couldn't. Okay, because I could not make sense of what he said. I tried to rewind, and the movie didn't really rewind good.
All I thought was they use halide gas, and it just sucks air out the room.
Yeah, but he said it's a fiber and something else, and I only caught fiber. I was like, damn, what was the other part? I was like, I can't even catch it. I couldn't catch it precisely him saying that. So okay. So,
and then the only mixing part is when they were talking through the loudspeaker. He's interrogating him after he shot Cat. So he's talking to him in his time, and it's in reverse. And then on the other side, do you understand what he was asking and the question back and forth? Just like when they were on the highway, he's like, I thought you said you knew Estonian. It's like, no, it's backwards. So that the mixing part, it will probably throw a lot of people off as far as
And the only time, like something you had said earlier, the only time you hear, like that's the only time you hear their language backwards.
Yeah,
is you hear it on the phone. They only give it to you on the phone, you know. So I thought they should have gave a little more of that because that's a code, and I thought they should have gave us a little more, you know, of that. So that was interesting, yeah. But they said a couple of things. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. You go.
Well, something that caught me is future and the past is kind of what you have to understand. You have to understand the future and the past because. And that goes into the butterfly effects that shows that you're not, and they got in on that, where you're not, if you step on the butterfly, you're not going to change the future.
The grandfather paradox, yes.
You're not changing shit. And see you at the beginning. I love that. I love that part. He's like, so see you at the beginning. As a spell, that's some deep shit. You know, that's some deep shit. That breaks through a lot.
And when they explain the grandfather paradox, is those elites in the future believe you can kill your grandfather and you will still be here.
Right. Nothing will change.
Right.
Nothing
and
change.
You have the others that believe it. And he's like, well, that's the paradox.
Yep.
So, brilliant. It made you think. I like movies that make you think and kind of have to, you know, put things. It doesn't lay it out for you the breadcrumbs are so easily found.
what the bad guy says before she killed him. What did he say? It's what you believe. Do you believe you are a man or a Gould or a god?
God, that's right.
Like, ooh, he's saying that the future powers would make you more of a Gould. You know, I thought that's hell of a writing, because the way he says it. Because remember how he said it too. He was like, he kind of hesitated. He says, "Or does that make?" And then he just said, "A god." It's like, oh, he's telling you how he feels because he's running it. He's running the system to his benefit completely. He has complete command of that system. He's really the only character that really completely operates the system for his benefit, you know, and his team. You know, that's what you're seeing, where the brother, it's more of a struggle, you know, to spark everything. You know, he's learning on the fly. His new self is learning on the fly, where the bad guy, he's you know, twirling it from the very beginning. You know, and I thought,
and then in the beginning they said, you know, we communicate with the future when you store text, emails, all this stuff, and when you save or send this stuff out, you're already communicating with the future. Priya, when she was telling them, the only question is does the future communicate back? And so there were times when Saturn at third act, when he was on the walkie with John Davis' character, while he's on the boat in Vietnam in the past, he's in the future trying to stop the bomb. He's like, you're not going to stop the bomb. And that's when he says the line, you know, it doesn't make you a ghoul or a god. So I was like, wow, they're really, really doing this thing. And he knew everything, except he didn't count on Kat having her anger turn to despair and actually shooting him in the chest. He did not see that. That was the one hitch in his plan he didn't see coming. Yep.
He didn't, because he caught that it was another her. Because he's like, well, they're saying you're with our son at the beach, that you're standing. He's like, I thought you were with him. They said, looks like, you know, you're with our son at the beach. And she's like, I came back. So I was like, you gotta know, you know, you're in charge of all this, so you gotta see that part. And he kind of didn't really see it, I would think.
And upon the first viewing, I knew the woman jumping off the boat was her in the future. Right. I just didn't know how they're going to figure it out. That was pretty obvious to me. Yeah. And but I liked the fact that you said that the divine feminine Priya was the one running the show when everyone thought it was the husband, Sanju, right? It was actually a woman, and she's like, yeah, you know, he had that mask. It's kind of hard to get that mask. The man or something, and then this masculine world, some shit. And I was like, okay, wow, that was pretty slick. I didn't see that one coming. So, I don't just like nitpicking to find things wrong with this movie for the most part.
Tell me what you thought about when he flipped in the car and the reason he was saved because of the gas and the freezing with the time paradox. Okay. You know, did you like that part? I did.
Part. So when you're inverted, you can't breathe in. She said you can't breathe in regular air. It doesn't pass through the membranes properly. So you got to breathe in through the mask. Right. And yes, fire turns to ice, vice versa. When you run, the wind's at your back and not at your front. And then when he's driving the car and the tires are spinning backwards, but he's going forward, I was like, oh, that's so slick.
Remember the training? They gave him a hint because he was like, it might handle a little different. That's what she told him. Might handle a little differently. So I thought that was kind of cool. Because they couldn't tell him everything, but it was like they were there to give him little bitty bites. You know, little bitty bites.
Yeah, because that entire team is from the future. They were called the Future Society. So yeah, that's why in the Ivis, I think Boone's character, he could only say so much to dude about how to go forward and stuff. Yeah, so man, this I've noticed the last few movies with Nolan, it's all about time, either space and time in this, time in the mind, but time is always important with Nolan. And Wild Theory. Did they just tell us something about time we don't know now as far as inversion? So now I gotta think these motherfuckers really probably playing around with the inversion shit.
They're telling you it's in play.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, history does not make sense because you can't tell me when Cortez and them came over and you got up to 50 to 100 million people that 500 people can conquer everything and they get to sleep. They can fight people all day, yet they can get to sleep. Nobody bothers.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Yeah.
Explain that to me. How people said, oh, it's nighttime, time out. We'll give those guys that hate us a time out. I mean, it makes no sense. So it's showing you that it has to have been done, and to benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Who would benefit from something like that? You know, and you hear about wizards, and you know, a gun is a wizard device. You know, the wizards gave those to man. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then the gun is so prevalent in that movie, and you got to think that that catching the bullet is just, I don't know. Nick will probably love that part. Nick, you got to tell Nick to really study that part, especially the battle scene and the way you even throw grenades. Remember how the building's coming down?
Oh my God! So that one he's waiting for the sign to go in, and the building. Oh, that was.
And awesome. Then they had to hit it again with the old bazooka.
Yeah,
Vietnam reference with the bazooka. It like. The building came back and he was like, boom, hit it
and
again.
Hit the top of it. Yeah, that was like, awesome.
Oh,
awesome.
That was good movie. That's good movie directing, editing. It was a really well done scene. I mean, and it's like this movie, even though I could see that was the Matrix kind of road, they were shot well. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't say that it wasn't shot well. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like I had to get away from that from the second time. I'm like, but it was shot well. And then even knowing his car, you know, that was him in the beginning, you know, that was shot really well. And again, you had to really pay attention to see who was in that car, you know,
so when
they show it.
When they tie it in and they do the long looks like.
Yes. Oh, okay. And even when he's looking at himself, because you look at the hero twin fighting himself, he sees his eyes. Mm-hmm. Remember they did the close up of the goggle?
Right. That's right.
You know, he sees his own eyes, and it's like it made him pause. It made him pause, you know, like, wait a minute, it's something. So I thought that was kind of to give you that little bit, you know, it's like, oh, there's something there. So mm-hmm. Very, 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 very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, it was worth the risk, worth the COVID risk. So I was thoroughly pleased with this movie. Thoroughly pleased.
Yeah, I'm just going over my notes, and it's like we've hit a lot of the same part. And but okay, Tenet. See, Tenet was found in the future.
That's right. You know,
it's the algorithm found in the future. That's what right. Tenet. That's what Tenet means. So a lot of people might not get that. Mm-hmm. So I want to add that to make sure that's what they're telling you. Oh, and then at the end, the inverted boating. Did you check that?
Yeah, right.
That was kind of cool too.
Yeah, she's
trying to time all this. You know, the inverted boat is coming, a regular boat, and she's got to get this signal. She was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get him anyway." But I thought that was kind of cool when they showed the inverted boating. I kind of like that.
Yeah, how they tried to explain the algorithm the scientists created. They referenced the Manhattan Project, Oppenheimer's famous speech about Vishnu and the destroyer of worlds. And then she created the algorithm. So if you control it, you can push the merging timelines either this way or that way. And that's the whole thing of it all, is who controls how the timeline goes, whatever the case may be. And but yeah, I thought that the global warming was a little bit lazy, but other than that, I was cool with it.
And what you just put together was that TV show Fringe. That's kind of
right. Yeah,
how Fringe was tied together.
Yeah,
you know, and it was a movie. The guy who does the Allstate the one commercials, the one Academy Award. He does the insurance commercial. He had a TV show on Cinemax where they had the border of the time. Remember that? They was going back and forth from the border in time.
That's right.
You know, the bald head guy, I can't think of his name, but I can't think of the name of that. But that was kind of like that too.
Okay.
Except they just used the wheel. And the wheel goes back into kind of, you know, the golden ratio, the spin, you know, something I talk about all the time is, you know, you can be whatever you want if you can just get the right spin.
Gotcha.
And that's what the machines is telling you, is that, you know, the right spin, you can do whatever with yourself, you know. So I like that. It was worth watching twice.
Yeah, the only thing I missed is when Neo broke inversion during the third act to go save John David's character and Ives, the soldier. Because they were like, well, I thought you were inverted. He's like, yeah, I broke protocol. And
right,
like,
I came back. Yep.
Yeah, I came back. So yeah. But man,
for the most part, no, I just want to add, for the most part, the back and forth is pretty good. They you know, when they would go storyline, I thought that was kind of good, you know, for the most part.
So we got one question. He said the cat scene at the boat in the end is still confusing to me.
Well,
I caught it.
Well, what happened is, again, they showed her jump off. You had to catch that in the beginning when she jumps off in the beginning. But you have to pay attention to when she tells the story, because the story is at the beginning. She breaks the glass, what she was actually doing there. You know, see, a lot of people might not have got when the glass broke. And when she first told the story, remember, she told, because they showed it actually 3 times. Because then they showed her throw it down and break it. But the first time you should see it scatter. Remember? And so what she was really doing was putting that shit down so he kind of would slip his ass out when she pushed him out. So,
and then also the reason why they sent her back is she was supposed to stall him from taking the pill until they got the bomb out of the high center or some shit like that. So she was just there to stall, not to kill him, but
she went off to do it
like a woman. She goes off the fucking radio.
But that also goes. Think about this too. That also goes to him. She killed him twice. Yeah. Because when she pushed him off the boat, he wouldn't have made it. He wouldn't have made it. Yeah, he was going to drown. You know, he was going to drown. If the brother wouldn't have jumped off and saved him, he was going to drown. And that's why she tells him, I already tried to once. Remember, she throws that in?
Right.
She tells him, I already tried to.
And then we find out that the Fitbit is why he kept checking his heart rate, because if he died, the algorithm goes off. And that's why his heart rate was so important, that he not, get too excited, because it would go off earlier than what his plan was to do it. So, yeah. I caught it. So, any last thoughts or anything about that? I just love this film. I'll probably go see it back. I'll go back and see it for the third time.
I watched it twice, and the second time was just as enjoyable as the first time, because even having a little understanding of what's going on, there was like I got 3-4 pages of stuff. I was like, I didn't catch that the first time around. Definitely see it. But pay attention. I mean, really pay attention to these little things that we've given you. Like the training is invaluable to. The 2 things is understand the shooting and catching the gun. That's a big tell for you. And then catch the training before they actually go into the battle scene. I mean, it's funny. That took a couple times. I backed that up a couple times to watch that. Is the battle scene to just fully understand and enjoy it. To really enjoy, especially loving war, but the storylines going through how they show the pincer movement being enacted. I thought that's giving you something right there. They talk about it because they talk about it that he did it, and then they go back and say, we're going to use this. And then they show you it being done. That's brilliant writing.
No, I agree. I think the final point is when his city showed up. His city of Stalag 12 was hundreds of years in the future. He found the plutonium. He assumed the guy's identity, the Andrei Sadr, because that's not his real name. He killed his partner and then staked his claim to New Russia. So he ended up being an arms dealer from the future in a city that was not supposed as a show for a few hundred years. So I think that's probably one final point. Anyone who says they caught everything on the first, they're lying. They're lying. If they had a screener, they had to go back and stop, pause, and watch. You're not going to get everything on the first go round. So don't even think. Don't even think you got to catch this shit.
Oh, and one other word you got to understand is inverted material. Remember, because they started showing the inverted material. Yeah, because I watched it the first time and I saw your excitement. I'm like, let me see. And so when I watched the second time, I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed it watching it more last night than the first time I watched it.
Well, how she explained the 2 bullets. One's moving forward, one's moving backward. They don't know. And then how he's showing how to catch the bullet, and then she plays it back. She's like, no, well, according to the bullet, you dropped it. From the bullet, you dropped it. I was like, God damn. So they've been hiding this shit all along. They just not let us know this shit. So I think.
One more thing. So what did he say? Patton's character say, time isn't the problem. Coming out alive. He's like, he's telling you it's not a problem going inverted. It's that you can still get killed being inverted. He laid it out there. It's like, that's the point, is you still can get killed being inverted, because the way the bullet, something you was just hitting on, the bullet, if you get hit with an inverted bullet and you're not from that, it's going, what did he say, 3 days?
It's irradiated, so it's radiation and it spreads faster than whatever. And how they said how you could heal it, you need 4 or 5 days to properly recover from it. She only had a few hours. That's why they had to take her through again. Invert her. Yes.
Yeah. And I thought that, but inverted material, understanding, how that affects the people, but the play for your mind of showing you, the pincer movement. That's a good mind exercise. And people, you gotta watch when they drop them cartons. Really pay attention to the way they're moving and the way they're showing you how a battle strategy is, and that's not given a lot, on how this strategy to the minute, because they're all synchronized. How and we get the synchronization from a lot of different shows, but I thought that was excellent writing, excellent for your mind. That was excellent for your mind to see if you even have any conceptions of how time movement can work and work for you as an individual. I thought that was brilliant. I really did.
I think the only problem people will have with this movie is that they don't have a basic grasp of what time really is, because the saying goes, past, present, and future all operate at the same time. We just put time on the things that give us a semblance of what we think time is, or whatever case may be. But it's going to confuse a lot of people if they don't have a basic understanding, time, space, things of that nature, quantum physics. So yeah,
quantum lights, quantum gardens. But if you really looked at the Umbrella Academy at the last scene when they get shot, and remember what he had told him when they met their dad as his present self, he said, "Don't go back a million years. Go back to the moments." Remember, and that's how he was able to save, because he wasn't quite dead. And so that's the problem people have with time, is they don't realize that each moment can kind of be played back. But deja vu is like that. It's like when you step into deja vu, start looking what has changed, because it's a replay almost. Deja vu is like a replay. That's why the moment seems so familiar. That's what I do. I'm like, what the hell has changed? I start looking at everything, because you're catching it. You're catching it. That's what deja vu is. You're catching this reality, and it's some kind of mistake has been made. Some change has been made around you. Just catch it, and then you get those moments back. But you gotta catch the moment. It's not going back hundreds of years.
I agree. Well, with that being said, OG, I ain't gonna hold you. Any last thoughts?
The movies. It's go to the movies again. It's romantic. It really is. It's a romantic thing. And now you can, you see people taking blankets and I don't know if they're gonna allow that again. Taking blankets and the pillows. But it's it's a really relaxing kind of thing. Again, if you're thinking about buying a house with a movie theater already in it, you're not gonna use it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's a room that's just gonna sit there. You don't want to watch football in the movie room. I mean, you just don't. I mean, I don't know if I can make people understand that. You're just not going to sit in the movie type theater and watch sports. You're just not going to do it. And so go back to the movies. Enjoy it, though. It's a lot of good movies for your mind now. Milan, I don't know about $30, guys.
I'm not paying Disney.
I only watched half the movie. I did fall asleep on it. I'm not gonna lie, but it was cool.
I'll find on bootleg somewhere or Fire Stick. I refuse to give Disney any more money that they haven't really earned for me like that. So, yeah.
And with that said, timelessness to you, wellness to the family, to all your family, wellness to you, take care. These next 3 months are going to be trying for us all. So we all have to do our best and be at our higher self. Oh, one more. Let me laugh with you. So a lot of people might be in it. Okay, so my neighbor just bought a new car. He's been doing security, right? You work for security, you get the security car, okay? So he's a boxer, so he wants to start working out. So he gets a new car delivered. He hits me with, "Well, I never told you what I do." I'm like, "Well, I never really asked. I really don't care." That's about thank you. Then this dude told me he's a appraiser for high-end jewelry. Sly, what if one of your casual friends said that to you? What would you think? What would just be the first thought out your mind? Appraisal of high-end jewelry. Getting a new car.
He's fencing or black market.
You said it.
Yeah, fencing.
Phony.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm like, new car, and you say, but when people tell you they have cover stories,
of course,
it sounds like a cover story to me. So I thought you'd get a laugh. Thank you, wellness, timelessness. Thank you, brother.
Big dog. We'll do it again soon. We'll do it again real soon. All right, everybody. I will put this on the movie breakdown channel. So yes, Tenet is that good. It is that good. It is that good. Like, I put this thing above Inception, and I think Inception is probably Nolan's best movie. I like Interstellar, but Inception, I think for a lot of people, they consider that Nolan's. But this, to me, is his masterpiece. Like, this is a very, very highly intelligent movie. You're not going to get it all on the first go around. You're going to have to see this thing at least twice. So with that being said, I will see you guys